Hey, hi guys. Good morning.
Hey, Siri. How are you? Good morning as well.
Yeah, I'm doing good, Brent.
Good. Artem will be joining here in a minute, and then I'll do some quick introductions, and I will actually be in listen mode pretty much like Corey and Artem speak with us. So. Hey, Artem.
Yeah, sorry, my Zoom decided to update. It's always like the best time, Monday morning.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get started. We met last week, or the week before, I can't recall now. And joining me are two of my senior engineers from my team. And I'll let them introduce themselves. And then if you want to introduce yourself and start from there, then they will continue on with questions.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll turn it over to Corey and Artem if you want to go first.
Good morning, my name is Corey Gray. I'm the principal cloud engineer. Basically, things that if it's AWS related, it usually comes across my desk. Kubernetes usually comes across my desk. And just, I'm a generalist. And, I've been doing tech for 8 years now. And just over the time, I built up a lot of the troubleshooting skills. So odd jobs also come this way. I've been in AWS for 6 years now. And that's really where my focus is, though I've done time in like traditional data center and traditional Linux and that kind of stuff.
Hey, my name is Artyom. I'm okay. So I was system engineer, then I was Devops engineer. Now I'm probably senior cloud engineer. I'm going to senior platform engineer. So you name it. And I work with Kubernetes and AWS. Have some knowledge with Google Cloud, Azure. I like Linux. I don't like Mac, and that's probably it.
Cool, I guess. So then it comes to me then, like this is Sriteja here. So I was mostly a cloud engineer. Started even with like a cloud engineer. After that, even I was into cloud engineer. After that, right now since past 2 years, I was working as a site reliability engineer with the Ford. Yeah, and mostly I deal with the AWS cloud platforms, AWS cloud platform, and I had a knowledge with a few concepts of Azure and the GCP. Yeah, and obviously the infrastructure, our main important in the infrastructure with the Kubernetes. Yeah, that's what.
Thank you. Brent, are you going something first?
Nope, I'm actually going to let it roll into you guys. Corey, if you want to start asking questions, diving into technical areas and articles.
Okay. Yeah, let me.
And apologize a little bit. The team, we've been way busy with some stuff, so we're had some guys out, and then we had some databases that need to get upgraded that we missed from a timing perspective, not missed, but missed with the lead times we wanted, so we're scrambling to get them done before some automated updates happen in a week from now, which we're going to make, but just play catch up a little bit. So,
Corey, if you want, I can go first.
If you ask a question, go for it.
Okay, so I have pretty basic questions. It's like basic and fundamental, but could you please explain what is going on when you type some command in your terminal? So in Linux, for example, you type ls or cp. What is going on the terminal? It's like fundamental.
Oh, okay. So when we just type all so basically, when we actually type in a URL of any website or user, like when you hit the enter, then we will be so browser looks like for the IP address for the domain once that is achieved once that is achieved, so the browser that initiates to a TCP connection with the server.
Sorry, I interrupt you. I'm not talking about Internet Explorer or Google Chrome. I'm talking about Bash.
Okay. Okay. So like let's talk about like two commands like ls and the cp. So ls stands for like listing all of our like our directories. Like we used to display the list of the files and directories in our directory. When it comes to the cp, like it stands to the copy. Like used to copy the files. Used to copy the files or the directories from one location to the another location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about, I don't know, fork processes? Do you know what does it mean?
Okay. The forking. Basically for the fork is like a concept like which the process in general for the process like our system calls that creates a like a new process. These new process generally created using a fork by copying of a current process except the expect the return value. So that's what that's what for purpose are in general. So we use for it as a function in the Linux or the Unix platform that is generally to generate a duplicate of a particular particular process by creating the two simultaneous executing process for a certain program, and these two processes are generally called as a parent and the child process.
Great. We have child process. It shows like process ID, some number, but when we try to check parent ID, there is nothing, like empty. What is going on? Why it's so?
Okay. Okay. So what you are saying is like the chain process. Like when you are trying to look using the PS command, it doesn't show a process ID, right?
Yes. It shows process ID. Like I can check the process ID of the current process, but I cannot check parent ID.
Well, it could be a reason that it is a zombie process. So the parent process already been killed. However, the child process is still being utilized or occupied.
But I have no any other question about basic. Corey.
Okay. So, first, let me try to get your name correctly. Is it Sri Saiteja?
Yeah, it's Sri Saiteja, and you can go with the name Sri or Teja. Anything is fine.
Okay. I try to call people whatever they prefer. So
yeah, you can call me Sri.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking at some of your resume earlier, and definitely been covering a few different things. So I have a question, kind of some theory, kind of like some talking shop, and then maybe what you might consider like certification questions, this kind of stuff. Yeah. So first, you kind of used the magic words earlier. Site reliability engineering, what does that mean to you?
So when it comes to site reliability engineering, I can say like it's kind of a support system. Like this role is basically that provides the practice like of using a few of the monitoring tools or automating tools to automate the the infrastructure it takes, such as the tasks such as like system management or application monitoring. So like in general, the role ensures that application like we have in our current access to deploy make all the architecture much more reliable. So how we can do that is like by checking the constant health checks or everything like we do continuously monitoring brick by brick of the total architecture. Like I can tell you, like it involves building a culture of collaboration between like development and operation teams, so that where we can work together to identify and resolve the issues like really quick and make this applications much more like a very very reliable. So yeah, this is what I can tell you in like a very few words. Like where as SRE, our responsibility is to make these all applications or our architecture like much more reliable. So the ways how we do is like by mostly keeping the continuous monitoring and continuous monitoring and by continuous monitoring the services that which we are doing, and for these like we use a few of the automations also to get all these continuous alertings or everything. So that's what I specifically feel the SRE is.
Well, how much of your time do you spend writing code?
So when it comes to writing a code as a SRE or just in general?
As SRE. Not like yet professionally, not if you have some side projects.
Oh, okay. So, well, I have not got that much opportunity in the development side, but I have written few like multiple scripts also, which are bash-based scripts. I have written the few scripts for the different automation specific requirement with respect to the AWS explicitly. Like I have written in Terraform scripts, or I have written Terraform scripts or Terraform scripts for for my architecture. Like I can tell you like there are a lot of even we have been used like a few of the configuration management tools also, where we have been wrote the Ansible playbooks and all these.
You mentioned Ansible, and I see that you've used Ansible, Salt, and Puppet. What do you see as the differences between those tools?
So when you come up with the differences with Ansible, Salt, and the Puppet. I can tell you the main difference of the Puppet works on the pull mechanism. However, when it comes to so when we talk about Ansible, it works with the push mechanism. So basically, Ansible uses SSH-based connections, SSH-based communications, where from the answer to the master to push changes onto the infrastructure list or the inventory list that like we have, however, and that we have. And however, when it comes to the Puppet, like you update all the changes in the Puppet master, and all the client machines sends those changes from the dot connects to the master node and constantly look for the changes available based on their inventories or the configuration, and they pull those changes and apply. So that's the main difference between the Puppet. I have been see. So that's the main difference in them. But we talk about the Puppet, and Puppet is uses its own language. However, Ansible will be written in the YAML.
And then what about Salt?
So like Salt, when it comes to the Salt, it also works like it supports like a variety of configuration languages, including the YAML and Python, and has even the powerful like even installs like a Puppet only. Okay, so when it comes to that, as I said, it supports the multiple languages, and also like a Salt supports like a major like different cloud providers. But like Ansible has much more integration platform available. So I would say the main advantage of using Ansible is a sense of ability to integrate it on the many DevOps tools. However, Salt does not support that kind of, and also I would say from the usability perspectives and usability perspective, it is like pretty easy to set up as well. Like however, the Salt is not that easy when it compared to the Ansible.
Fair. Similar question I like to ask anybody who has multi-cloud experience. What do you see as the differences between AWS, GCP, and Azure?
Okay. So when it comes to the differences, majorly, like I can tell you, all of these are the public cloud platforms, like based architectures for the AWS and GCP or Azure remains the same. But when it comes to the AWS, it has like far more reach with respect to like the all other cloud environments which are available. So like where AWS has the lot of cloud and more availability, and one of the main difference would be like GCP in G Cloud is like a suite of the Google public cloud computing resources and services, like where AWS is a secure cloud service developed and managed by the Amazon. So I can tell you like it has a multiple different services that it has to offer. Like the GCP offers to the Google Cloud storages. However, Amazon has different like S3 storage and well as the object storage available for that. And the main reason that I could think about the GCP is like Google Cloud Services data transmission is fully encrypted it will be in a fully encrypted format. However, in AWS the data transmission it's not like encrypted by default. Also the volume sizes in the GCP is different when it comes to the volume sizes in the AWS. For example, in the GCP it's like 1 GB is like 1 GB 264 terabyte, whereas in AWS it's like a 500 GB. So like it's a 16 terabyte. Like when we talk about Azure versus AWS, now we will be Azure as AWS, like Azure also offers the similar kind of services for the storage and all compute and and everything. However, when it comes to the databases, specifically AWS and Azure offers different database services to manage the both structured and or the unstructured data as a general data, as your generally uses like Azure SQL server databases. However, like Amazon uses the RDS service, all these. And also in Azure, we have 140 availability zones, and however in AWS we have 61 zones. I mentioned that. Only when I mentioned that Azure that also offers the virtual network cloud, whereas in AWS we have a virtual private cloud also. So it is to the base architecture remains, but where the base architecture remains the same, but the some there are but there are few other differences also. Mm, and yeah, apart from that, when we go with the like okay. Uh, yeah, when it comes to the compute specific machines are grouped when it comes to the compute specific differences, Azure machines are grouped into the cloud services and respond to like the same way the domain or the various ports. However, in AWS, machines are accessed separately. Um, yeah, these would be the some of the differences where I observed between AWS, Azure, and GCP.
So I was a consultant for a while, and I would have clients in all three clouds.
Oh.
And they're like, which cloud should I go into? And what would you tell them?
So if we have multiple clients and the requirement, so if they reach out to us the requirement asking which cloud to use, then AWS, because it's there been for a long time. That's the first thing I will be looking. But ideally, it will be depending on kind of the ecosystems they will be using, because we need to understand what exactly the requirements are. So let's consider, for example, if they are using the cloud platform web build and release management tool in Azure DevOps, which is something which we can use in a general as well with on-prem architecture as well. So definitely working with Azure is something which I will be suggesting based on the requirement, because having entire architecture in one ecosystem solves the purpose. Also, when it comes to because of pricing, we also when the pricing comes to a place it plays a major role. So Azure would be something which will be suggested based on their pricing when it comes to the AWS specific pricing. So there are a lot of things that we need to consider before we can decide which cloud platform that we can suggest to that specific client.
All right, let's see. I see from your background, your computer science background, what's your preferred language?
Which one? I didn't get you.
Sorry, yeah, I see you have a computer science background.
Yeah.
What is your preferred programming language?
So my preferred programming language will be mostly Java a bit and the .NET. But the main thing is that I have never got an opportunity to work or do the hands-on coding because on the development side, because mostly I started my career with Devops side, and so that's the thing I can tell you. I was not into everyday daily coding guy, but yeah.
So we're not looking for a developer.
Yeah, but I have knowledge with the Java and the understanding of Python, Java.
I ask because, for example, I have a computer science background. I definitely have some strong opinions on what are my preferred languages, even if I'm not writing application code every day.
Yeah. My preferred languages would be at the point of understandability, Java, .NET, and Python.
Okay. And then, so how is A&M?
So A&M, it's really good. I really like that because I am from Kingsville, very south side of Texas. So it should be totally my few courses were in Kingsville and few are in Corpus Christi. So it's 30 minutes of drive. So I used to really enjoy that university, my classes and everything, because most of the things we have been done there were mostly a real-time approach rather than telling it's just a theoretical and mostly I can tell you even I have developed a small game also. I guess it's a pinpoint game, something which have been developed. So it was really exciting, and coming to Texas A&M, I really love that ecosystem over there.
It is neat. Yeah, I have a couple Aggies in my family, and I was actually
Wow,
at the station
that's good.
just a couple of weeks ago.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Because even even last week I got a few reach of recruiters. They reached out to me because seeing that I'm an Aggie, but I felt it's good.
Yeah, it's definitely, what do I call it? It's not a cult, but they definitely have a tight knit group around being an Aggie.
Yeah.
The year I was looking at your master's, and it says it's what was it? I just had it written down.
Computers and Information Sciences.
That's right. Yeah. So it wasn't. What does that mean? What did that master's cover?
So like that master's degree covered me, like I can tell you. So I can tell you in this way. So even the few of the subjects or the courses that which I have been done in my master's were similar to the things that I have been in the bachelor's. But what I personally felt after doing my master's degree is like there's a lot of topics which were being into a deep dive or a conceptual way. So like when I was doing my bachelor's degree, like I felt I'm learning something theoretical and even some experimental too. But when it comes to the master's degree which I've been doing here, I felt like I have been got a lot of like hands-on exposure on multiple concepts. Getting a not a, I won't say I'm not like a PhD grad. I'm just a master's grad. Like where I got to know. So yeah, this utility we are using this. This utility we are using this. So before masters, like on bachelor's degree, like I was being like a guy. Okay, we need to do this. We need to read this. We need to get this for a grade. But when it comes to a master's degree, it started like my perspective of thinking was being different. Like when there's any concepts or any lectures that were going on, like I used to get, oh, okay, this is why maybe my application is working more efficient here. So this is why when it comes to the networking course. When I was there in the network course, like I saw, oh, okay, that's the reason where we have been originated, where this internet has been originated. When I went the course with a machine learning coursework, then I thought, okay, why this machine learning is going to be about much. So like mostly I can tell, I still remember a few projects like on artificial and machine learning, like in artificial intelligence and machine learning, a few concepts like computer vision and the deep learning, and yeah, which made me or push me to learn to make me self-learn more to understand the complexities or like to understand the much more necessity of learning the pure hardcore software culture, engineering culture.
And it's because I think we've all seen a computer science degree, and we know what that entails. I have a degree, I studied computer science, and I completed my degree in cloud computing. You don't see that one as much, so I can talk about like what did I actually learn from that. So I wasn't sure what computer information sciences would cover because it sounds broad.
Yeah,
it sounds like it was kind of broad. You were doing some networking, some.
So yeah, it sounds broad, but like we really have an opportunity. Like in my master's degree, I have an opportunity to cover like a 13 courseworks around like where they have a fixed they have like a fixed coursework that they provide, and like in that and after that like few other courses where the electives where we can choose. Then at that point it made me to choose like different courseworks and everything. So where I can tell you like it would be like mostly ecosystem where I can tell you it covers everything, but mostly it makes us to focus on learning much more like deep roots, like where from where this all got started and how we integrated a layer by layer in the software life cycle and everything more.
Okay, nice. Let's do some of those certification kind of questions I was talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So let me tell you. We can use the lambda functions for this specific purpose here, and yeah, we can use this lambda functions for this purpose.
And then on the Kubernetes front, what are the different probes in Kubernetes?
So the different probes in Kubernetes is like liveliness probe, readiness probe, liveliness probe and readiness probes. These are the probes like we see in the Kubernetes.
There's a third one. You remember? You know what the third one is?
Third one, like yeah, definitely. So there is a starter probe. No, like liveliness, readiness, and starter probe. So these are the probes. Yeah.
And then why would you use each of the different posts. What do they do for you?
Okay. So well, when liveness probe is used to determine if the container is still running, if the container fails the liveness probe, Kubernetes will restart the container. This is used for applications that may become stuck or unresponsive. And when it comes to readiness probe, when it comes to readiness probe, it is used to determine if the container, if the container is ready to receive the traffic. If the container fails, if the container fails the readiness probe, Kubernetes will remove it from the list of endpoints of the services. And these are the two different. When it comes to the startup probe, it is used to determine if the application is started successfully. This is used for the applications that takes a long time to start up, and it allows the Kubernetes also to delay sending traffic to the container until it is ready to use it.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about an issue we actually had here at work.
Okay.
And kind of hear what your thoughts might be on how to fix that.
Yeah.
So we had an issue at work where if we restarted too many pods at once, they would actually start to choke each other. And by choke each other, I mean that we had so much resource contention that pods started failing, particularly for CPU. And the biggest initiator for this event would be, say, if I was doing cluster maintenance. Because if I was doing cluster maintenance, like a node upgrade or a cluster upgrade, and I need to upgrade the nodes, and we were using EKS, and EKS would roll through the managed node group. We have all our pods get restarted, and then they would get into CPU contention, and then just not start because of the CPU contention. How would you address that? How would you start working on that problem?
Okay. Okay. Definitely. So, well, first of all, I need to see where I'm going, where these boards are designed as these body parts designed to run on one particular node based on the label definitions. Because if this is RE, because if it is RE it could be the main reason that more number of cards are, I would say, all the pods are assigned to a certain node, and when they are running concurrently, in that case, it's useful to talk all the resources available from the node, and the pod doesn't come up. So that's something we can basically see in pod life cycle. So because the pods are only scheduled once in their lifetime. Only once a pod is scheduled and assigned to a node, and the pod runs on that node until it stops or terminated. So identically, we need to check the pod life cycle and see what's the label being defined on them, and based on the configuration, we will start figuring out. But if in that case some of the pods are failing, I would like to debug that issue. To just go into the pod, I try to describe the pod, because when I will use the kubectl describes which describe the total pod that has been failed, and it will we can say it will give me a fair amount of ideas as to what happened with them falling after when it gets described. I will check the logs of the pods and pod as well, because that will also give me some amount of ideas as what exactly is happening, and also I would look into the request, Kubernetes request and the limit configurations, because it may happen that some of the container requests the resources, or I would say more resources than the requested, or because that also happens. So most of the time it happens that Kubernetes pods are using more resources than the requested request limits of request, because the request is generally used to allocate power to the node based on the multiple based on the multiple conditions being satisfied. So it basically indicates that the request by the container and the specific pods are satisfied. Then only the request or that pod is allocated to that node at the allocated node. At the runtime, that indicates the amount of requests will be guaranteed as a minimum for the container in that particular pod. So we need to check the Kubernetes request and limit as well. So it may happen that the maximum amount of the resources or the limit configurations is defined to the highest, which is above the threshold, and it is leading to the consumption of memory and memory and the CPU resources on the node, which is eventually stopping these containers or pods to come up.
Okay. So you check the request and limit configurations. You see that surprise, or maybe not surprise. The pods don't have any. So you go and you put some on. Now you add request limit restrictions to the pods, right? right? Because if you don't have any request limit restrictions, I'd assume that would be one of the first things you do. So you go and you add that to the pods, and now the developers are complaining that the pods take too long to start, and you can see that actually that's in a way true because now the pods aren't starting. So you've put a limit on request and CPU, so now the pods aren't fighting each other for CPU, request and CPU constantly, but they take so long to start that they don't ever start. Like, how will you start addressing that issue? And I'll give you,
Okay.
and you, just because you would know this going into the environment ahead of time, these are Java pods.
Okay.
So, okay. So, okay. So, well, in general, to solve this kind of problem, like what we can do is like we could modify, like we can modify like the CR file, which is like a custom resource file, and increase the resource limit and apply the changes. Like because our container is not allowed to use more than the resource limit. After the readiness pro failed several times, like Kubernetes restarts the pod and the pods and generally, and if in case this resource limit is reached, the pod will not come up, or eventually it will take longer time, and then like it will be, then we will break. Like a few also probably need to change the readiness from initial delay, to the 5 minutes, or update the configuration depending on our requirements. And I can think generalizedly the steps we follow is like sometimes. Because of OS updates, also it happens. Some of the base image container, it will start in less than a couple of seconds. Where in that time, similar kind of image container will take longer time. So basically, like we update the binaries on our servers as well, which can lead us to a slow response from the container pod side. And also, like I would like to. I would like to assign some of the pods which are running on the single node to the another node, just to rule out a scenario like let's say pods are fighting for the system resources, but in generally tweaking the readiness and like the ECR files will solve this purpose.
So when you initiate, how is this? You go to perform cluster maintenance. Right, you go into EKS detail to do cluster maintenance, and it starts rolling through the nodes. You know, it's going through the cluster upgrade process. It drains a node, or it creates. Well, actually, you tell me what happens when you initiate a cluster upgrade in EKS.
Okay. Yeah. So, like when we actually do the cluster upgrade process, first upgrade process, like first of all, like it upgrades the control panel, and then eventually it upgrades the node on the cluster. And finally the QCTL will be updated on the client side. Now, there are the different types of the upgrades. That this infrastructure specific updates. Like now, if we are talking about API updates on the API upgrades or the Kubernetes API depreciation process, so that works differently. I can tell you, so we need to adjust the manifest API based on the versions that we are using on the infrastructure side. When we talk about the EKS cluster versioning, for every case the cluster versioning, there will be different kinds of Kubernetes API deprecation policies, as well as we need to. As we need to check I have worked on the similar kind of engagement when using a Helm with Pluto. So Pluto is one of the tool which we actually run along with the Helm, which runs over and above the Helm and actually lays down all the deprecated APIs. So then we can just simply just go ahead and update those deprecated APIs. But in general, when if we talk about from the AKS standpoint, to update the EKS worker nodes, like a new ASC with the different versions of worker nodes need to be created with the lifecycle label of the different versions. So let's say, for example, when we are updating version 1.15 version 2. So in that case, the lifecycle should be defined as a 1.15 as a label. And after creating a new worker node, we need to apply the pod description budget to all our applications, which will help the 100% availability of our pod in the case of any descriptions. So also we use the node selector to migrate this application from version 1.14 to 1.1 to desired versions. And once the application is generally migrated to the desired versions, because of the cluster autoscaler worker nodes based on the older versions, will automatically scale down the application, will be migrated to the newer upgraded nodes. So that's like a gentle process, like where EKS updates take process. But all these process happens in but all these processes they happen in the multi-layer. I was explaining earlier, upgrade of the control panel happens. Then only control upgrade of Q proxy versions happens. Then to the DNS version is upgraded. Then AWS updates the VPC CNA versions, and then eventually our auto scaler version is updated, like which is defined using the labels. So after that, we apply the pod description, budget, and deployment of the applications happens to that. So to the general flow.
So how would you configure an EKS cluster to auto scale?
So I have I have done that using the console, as well as the Terraform. So we create an AWS EKS node group, and we configure our auto scaling, and we will be need to create the Amazon EKS node group also. EKS node group also. Then EKS node group. So basically, what you need to do is, first we need to create, as I said, we need to create this our EKS cluster software. Then you need to create the provider, and for the cluster to determine whatever you have unavailable. So generally we set we do choose the appropriate AMIs, AMIs and auto, that we configure the auto scaling groups, and we set our minimum and maximum capacities, and we define our we define our scaling policies to them, and after then we configure the node termination policy also.
Okay. That's all the time it is. Brent, Artem, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have questions about GitHub Actions. Do you have some experience with GitHub Actions?
Yes.
So the task is, we have some code on GitHub Actions, and we need to run it in AWS. So we have code and we have AWS. What is the approach?
I didn't get you. We have code and...
We have code like programming, code like Python, Java, you name it. And we have AWS Cloud. Okay. And we need, let's say, check health of instances in AWS.
Okay.
With this code.
So, the first step is running the code from GitHub Actions in AWS is to identify the specific actions. So once we identify the actions, we can choose a deployment tool. There are several deployment tools that you can use to deploy our code for the GitHub Actions to AWS, which includes AWS code formation. And after that, we will be creating the deployment of artifacts. And when we create the artifact, create the deployment artifacts for your application, such as you can create it in a Docker image, or we create it in a Docker image. After that, we configure the AWS resources. So if you need a EC2 instance of S3 buckets or an RDS database, we configure those, and after that we configure our GitHub action workflow, where we used to deployment tool, where we use the deploy these artifacts, where we deploy these artifacts, and after once the deployment was done, we will test it, and we will be monitoring it.
Okay, so my boss does not allow me to create anything in AWS Kubernetes EC2, but I need to check something in the AWS count of EC2 instances, but I do not allow create anything like computer resources. Not Kubernetes, not ESS, anything, not Fargate, not EC2. What in this case you can offer me?
So, okay.
You just have GitHub Actions and connection to AWS. If you need some additional permission, you may ask about the permission.
So we just want to verify what would be the two instances, but you don't have access to the AWS well. We just need to have read permissions on it to the service for the designated users, and based on the rules that you have been assigned with the permissions that you have been signed, so you will be able to see that. Is that way?
Yeah. Okay. So we have
GitHub
Actions with AWS CLI, with AWS CLI, and we need to check count of EC2 instances on the account.
Okay, so Okay, so like we want to check the count of the count of EC2 instances using the CLI, right? Using the GitHub Actions.
Yes.
Okay. In that case, okay, well, like I'm not personally work on this kind, but of a specific use case, like however, like there are different ways of doing that. So like you can define the GitHub Actions where you can define the credentials like where you can define like the credential ID or AWS key ID, security access keys, and the reason like we're working on. Secondly, we will run the AWS CLI like we normally do. Like for example, if you want to check the count of the EC2 instance, like you can use the AWS utility. And on the CLI, like we just describe like AWS EC2 and describe the instances, queries, and the reservations and everything there. And we will grab the running one. So
Okay.
that's how.
Okay. Next, additional complexity. So my boss forbidden me to share access key and ID key with anyone, and he didn't give me access key. Is it possible to check count of EC2 instances on the AWS account without access key and like without grabs by GitHub Actions or like anything like GitHub Actions, Jenkins out of the AWS account?
So like will ideally if the profile with your credentials is created, then only you should be able to access these things.
Yeah, in this case, it is a script, let's say bash script, and can check EC2 instances. It can be run by anyone who has access to this GitHub Actions, but it must not have any access key and ID key.
Then you can't access the AWS resources directly. However, like you cannot there are maybe some indirect ways like to check the EC2 instance first, but without if you don't have AWS access key or security key, like you can't access the AWS resources directly.
Okay. Then do you know what does mean assume role in AWS account?
What?
Assume role.
Okay. You're asking like it's generally a temporary security credential that we use. We use to access AWS resources.
Yeah, can we use this assume role without access, without credentials?
So, but that is something like also like we need to ask for it because like I assume the role works with like a setup. So you need to basically ask for assume those permissions first. Because like I believe that we are not authorized to ask it. So no, there are, like with an IAM role, like you need to choose the role and then you can define the maximum session duration based on that. That assumes the role will work.
Okay. Do you know what does mean when ID connect?
I think
yeah.
OpenID Connect.
OpenID Connect,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the OpenID Connect is like basically an identity service provider. Like in general, an entity within undisclosed external entity provider or the identity service is a kind of authentication protocol that builds on top of OAuth or we use it for user request access or redirect to the identity providers, authentications, and all this.
Good. It is possible to create. Yeah.
Okay, 5 minutes left. So, Sri, do you have any questions for us?
So I have a few questions. So what is our architecture seems like our cloud environment seems like with the feedback here or your certain with your application, like what are the services like we use here in day to day and everything.
Okay, so basically asking what is our architecture, what services are in play.
Yeah. That's it.
I just want to make sure that because it's a broad question. I want to make sure I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah.
We have kind of two different. They're all interconnected. But I'd say there's almost like there's two different stacks. We have a legacy monolith that was lifted and shifted out of a data center in Colorado years ago. But when I say lifted and shifted, it was not re-architected for AWS best practices. It was just thrown on EC2 instances in AWS. So that's the legacy stack. We as a company have been pulling pieces out of that legacy stack and putting them and rewriting them as microservices and putting them into Kubernetes. So that's increasingly the load is shifting from it's a Java monolith. Actually, most of it is in Java, but the legacy stack definitely is a Java monolith, Tomcats, MySQL databases. Actually has a couple Apache servers in play, that whole thing pulling into EKS. So we're using multiple RDS instances. We're using several DynamoDB tables now. A couple of SQS queues. We actually have in the legacy stack. We still have some Apache MQ up in play, but I spend I'll say what I spend most of my time on varies day to day. I spend a lot of time on daily operations, EKS, Kubernetes, Prometheus, doing a lot of database work right now. The DynamoDB still kind of maintains itself. But yeah, so I guess day-to-day general AWS maintenance, the EC2 instances, the EKS cluster help. The devs write the microservices, but we're responsible for maintaining all the different EKS clusters. We're responsible for the launching layer Prometheus. We're using Salt for our configuration management, especially to manage the EC2 nodes. I write a lot of Terraform as I'm updating, configuring, and then the environment's always changing, right? Because AWS is always changing. So there's getting on top of that.
Cool, got you. So I have another thing. So when it comes to compensation of what if I would be in the team, what would be your focus, where I need to be much more focused and working on as of right now. As of my case, it's mostly on the Kubernetes as a moment, but I just want to hear from you, if I would be with you guys, so what would be my major stream of focus on?
Brett, can you take that one?
Yeah, that's a difficult question because we're going to take the strengths based upon, we're going to put you in the areas that you have the strengths for. And right now from our interviewing, I couldn't tell you exactly where that would be at the moment. But we have a lot of automation we're working towards. So whether that is, and when I say automation, our environments are stood up. However, they've been stood up over time in various ways, manually through the UI, cloud formation, then going from backups and then moving to Terraform. And so we're looking to automate all those processes. Now, when you look at that automation, there's a lot of areas there. What are you doing with security, with the VPCs and everything for the ecosystem before you ever deploy anything there? Then you've got the EKS environment to stand that up, and then Terraforming to make all those things happen. So we're going to let you do where your strengths are. Sure. Depending on that, then we would then say, okay, where are you good at and where do we need to build upon, and then direct you into those areas as well. But I can't tell you exactly from this interview where those strengths are. Give you what you'd be working on today.
Yeah, sure. Then. No worries. This would be fine. So, Brent, what would be the next step? Again, the recruiter is going to be reached out to me for the next steps of what you're decision.
Yes. Yeah. So we've got some more people we're currently interviewing, and actually our recruiter, our HR person, is doing this out for a couple of days. So when she gets back, I'll be letting her know what we're going and then seeing where we're at with a couple of other candidates. So.
Sure. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Corey and Nathan. Thank you guys for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks
for you.
Have a good day. Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye.